Welcome back. So it's Women's Month, a few days away to marking the International Women's Day. But it's also just a few months now, to the next general election with a lot of positioning and political alignments and realignments. So let's talk about politics now, with a view also to including women representation in that mix. And we have joining us someone who wears many hats, daughter of former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, former commissioner for health in Ogun State, former senator. She joins us right here in our Lagos studio, Senator Iyabo Obasanjo Bello. Good morning, well, welcome to the Morning Brief.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Indeed, we're glad to have you, and we hope you didn't feel some discomfort as we talked about politicians and their disposition.
Not really. It goes with the territory. That's the general belief about politicians. So no.
All right. So we're glad that you take that in good, understanding. So let's talk about your return to politics. We've seen your declaration for the office of governor ahead of the 2027 general election, but you returned after a long spell back to Nigerian politics. And one of the biggest things shaping your return is that you have dumped your former party, the party of the former president, your father, and many are wondering what informed this. It's a big political move.
I have not been a member of PDP since 2011. Been an active member, or even a member at all, for that matter. When I left, I just lost the re-election to the Senate, and I had postponed a fellowship for a year. That was for a year at Harvard. It was just it was a post. Is actually kind of a leadership fellowship for people that have left one leadership position. So I was going to be going for about a year or two, and then I decided while I was there to reuse my PhD. I got my PhD in 1995, and so for me, sorry, kind of had this scratchy throat that I woke up with.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a PDP card. I didn't communicate. So for me, effectively, I left the PDP in 2011. So in that case, I feel I have no party, and that I'm joining in APC as somebody that has not participated in active politics for about 15 years. So I don't see it as leaving one party to join one party, but not having a party and then joining a party. So,
but some would say that's a convenient answer because the PDP has had its woes in the last couple of months, and there's been a mass exodus from the party, and hence it's not a good platform, to fill one's ambition. So, is that more having to do with your decision to rather identify with the ruling party?
Not really. Like I said, I'm not identified with PDP. Even when I left, PDP had the national government, right? So if I wanted to stay, if it was that you associating with the winner, I believe I would have stayed then and continued to stay with PDP until recently, when PDP, even before they lost the first national election, I was gone. So I do not think of it that way. I could have stayed. I could have gotten I don't know, I might have lobbied for a federal appointment. I could have continued to lobby for something. So I don't see it as that. The other part of it is that when I was away, the people that reach out to me, I was talking to, are all in APC. I don't think anybody in the current PDP as it is, or ADC as it's trying to be, communicated with me or asked, how are you doing? So for me, that was the fundamental reason. It's really the fact that, yes, it's all politics, but politics, people are still human beings. You need to care for people. You need to ask about them. We all need to all human beings are self-serving in some way, but also when you care about people, then they turn to you for because I wasn't lobbied. That if I guess that's one thing I can say, that nobody said, oh, you should join this or this will happen or you should join that. So it was a decision made from that personal reason that people reached out to me. They're talking to me, not to lobby me, but just people, we care about you and we like you, we love you as a human being. How are you doing?
So let's talk about consistency and the perception that will definitely trail your campaign trail. So maybe because we're talking about primaries in maybe 2 months or so.
Yes.
Coming up, and you left the PDP, or you were not, doing anything with the PDP after you lost the election, and that's quite critical, because some people say you left power or you didn't win re-election, so you just decided to just ghost or something.
No,
because it's going to come up as a question of consistency. When you don't have power, then you're not committed to your party.
Let me first, maybe I'll go back to how I joined politics and why I left. I'll start with the end and then go back to the beginning.
Fantastic.
So I wasn't going to run for that election. So because I wasn't going to run, and there was a lot of pressure by my supporters to run. So when I lost, I saw it as a blessing. I wasn't going to run, and I
you didn't want to seek re-election?
No.
Oh, okay.
So I had the Harvard Fellowship. I told you I postponed it. I was going to, it's a January to December fellowship. So I was going to start the January of the year of the election and just come back because that time there will be not a lot of activity because everybody is going for re-election anyway. That was the last 6 months, no, it's even less than 6 months, 5 months before election. So I was like, I have a perfect plan. I'm not going to run for a re-election. When I told them the pressure, just the pleading, so how can you do this to us? So I felt, for me, that if I had stayed around, there would still be constant pressure to get a political post, right? Because these supporters, and sometimes I think non-politicians don't understand this, and even not only in Nigeria but around the world, sometimes some decisions by politicians is based on the followers, people that depend on you and have associated with you and have told the world this is where they are, right? So they and so you feel beholden to them because you are part of the system to sustain them. And so I felt the only way I could not get that pressure and continue to do things that I wasn't comfortable with doing was to just cut myself away so that then they will have to find some other politician to follow or do something else. And so there was that. And then going back to, so it was just that I'd already made that decision. I wasn't going to
So it was more like a blessing in disguise, if
Thank you. For me, that was how I saw it. And and then how I joined politics initially was that I was living in the US, came back, and then I started to meet politicians, work with, and being asked to their campaigns. And growing up, I think I'm older than both of you. During my time, there was no politics. I grew up during the military era. This was an era where nobody campaigned. So to come back to Nigeria and see people shouting campaigns, politicking, talking to crowds of people, it was just exciting, and it was just a different experience that I'd never experienced in Nigeria, that politicking was a thing. And so when I joined them to campaigns, I was just going around with them just because it was exciting, and sometimes they'll give me the microphone, I'll talk. Politics can be exciting.
It should be exciting.
That trying to talk to people and convince them, and when you see the crowd respond to what you are saying, you can just feel that energy back. So that was the exciting thing. So when
so that this had nothing to do with, you know, having a spin from your father being, you know,
No.
a former military head of state in the country. Did that give your career any form of, you know, spin?
My father being, when I came back, it was head of state. So being a former military or being a current president, I think the only thing it was associated with was probably it was easier for those people to meet me, to get to invite me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you don't meet somebody, so it was those meetings that said, oh, I was in spaces where they could meet with me and say, oh, I would like you to come with me to this campaign, and then I'll meet other aides of theirs that are politicking, and became friends with them. And so that is the only part of it that I can say. And and I did that without wanting to get anything from it. It was just that process. Then when the two of the people I campaigned with, one became a governor in Ogun State and the other became a senator in my senatorial district, and I campaigned with both of them. The governor asked me to be a commissioner, and it took me a while. If you go back to Ogun State, I was the last commissioner to be sworn in. All the others had done a big ceremony together, because I really wasn't sure it was something I wanted to do, but again, not with pressure from him, but pressure from one of my friends that was already in this government. I decided, okay, maybe this is
so it sounds like you've always been reluctant to get in the fray, because maybe you're not politician in that sense or service. But where I'm going to with the question, we have 2 months for us to know who is going to be what in each of the political party. And I know that this is almost a men's game as far as Nigerian politics is concerned. We're praying for someday women to emerge somewhere. And we're happy and glad that you're one of the women that have shown up. Talk to us about, I don't want to talk about what you want to do. I want to start with your understanding of the odds that you are stacked up against, at least at the party level. What are you dealing with now?
So I'll answer your first question and go back to a comment you made. When I ran for the Senate, I was really, really committed. The first election, it was exciting. It was going to be. It was my first campaigning that was for myself. So when I'm enthusiastic, I go.
You go full blast.
I go full blast. I reach every village. If you ask people in Ogun State, or what I did, I went to every nook and cranny of my senatorial district, every village, every ward. But I was excited. It was what I wanted to do, and so that was that. So those are 2 other times. Just to say that it's not that I'm always reluctant. I wanted to. Where I am now is, I'm not even the only woman that's come out for governorship in my state at this point. I think we have at least one woman that's fully declared. But you know, every election there's always some woman in the country that, you know, that is running. None of them have made it to actually win an election. We can try and ask ourselves why, and there's studies across the world about why, and let's study specifically to Africa about why women don't win elections. And in Nigeria there hasn't been as many, but I think we can all discuss here and have opinions about it. For right now, I feel I have a level playing field. I feel that with my previous positions as a commissioner of health in the state and as a senator representing the state, it gives me a platform that is very good. And like I said, when I participated fully. Everywhere I go in Ogun State now, somebody comes up to me and says, "You did this for me." Something as simple as, you were commissioner, I was hired, or you hired me. I came to talk to you about something, and for a job, you saw my CV, and different other opportunities and things that have helped people with, either in a private sense or in government.
So where I'm going to with my question, within the party, the APC itself, first, do you have the nod of, we can't discard it, of the governor, Is it looking in your direction? Is it looking in another direction? Within the party, because it is a party that will throw any candidate up for the general public to be able to vote. So what are the odds within the party itself?
The party is, that's my first answer, that the party has given a level playing field. I do not feel it's 2 months, it's close,
Very
but
close.
also the party is not going to say it's you've gotten it, and I don't see any nod that has been given to any candidate that is different from the nod I got. Is that you go electioneering like everybody else, and we'll see. Yes, it's a good year. It's a good time to be a woman in politics for per se. If there's ever a good moment, the country is doing a reserve seat bill for women. So hopefully this will also it will get to the governorship level. So I can't say, to say that will be saying that somehow I've been guaranteed the ticket. No, I don't think anybody in the state has guaranteed anybody else the ticket and has not guaranteed me the ticket either. It's that I feel I'm a formidable person to beat because of my track record, and so I'm going to go for it. But I have the same buy-in from the system that all the men have, but I just think I'm a better candidate and more formidable than them, and I'm going to win.
I like the end.
I like that confidence. But let's talk about some other part of the odds, which would be funding. And we know that, to run for governorship in this country is not child's play as far as funding is concerned. So I'm wondering where you're going to be drawing that from. Even the INEC, the Electoral Law 2026 as amended, I think it sets funding for election for governorship in the realm of, I think, 1 billion. I'm not quite sure. I have to reconfirm that. Or would you be relying also on the family name, to get you further ahead? So the gender factor, funding, or are you also banking on the family name?
I don't. The way I see it, I've lived in the U.S. for quite some time. And as you know, in any developed world system, you are forced to save. What do I mean? You're forced to save. You are forced to save for your retirement, whether you like it or not. And I've worked on and off in the US a total of over 20 years, more like 25 years before I came back to Nigeria initially. What that does is that when you get to my age, closer to retirement, you have a cachet of money that the closer you get to retirement, the easier it is for you to cash out, right? We don't have that system working for us very well in the country yet. But what that allows you as you grow older is to have savings that when you were saving it didn't hurt you. It's just this automatic deductions from that you never saw as money. But also, because of the investment, that money is put into the US stock market. And if you look at the US stock market, if you put money into it 30 years ago, it's more than, I can't even say quadrupled, it's times 10 or something. So that multiplier is part of the system, right? So that by the time you stay for a long time working and you get closer to retirement age, you have a nice nest egg. So that is part of my own funding, because that's just how my life has worked out for me. So there's that. There's just the fact that in my state, I have a lot of goodwill. That is just the fact, because like I said, even whether in the Senate or in the state, I tell people I'm not a contractor. I don't build houses. I've built houses from scratch. I've owned houses that I got an architect and think to build here and in the US. So when in the end, all works in when it has to go to somebody that is a professional. So even when people have a bid and they win, they feel that, if this person didn't give me an opportunity to be part of the system. So I do have a lot, or even people that you just help with something small in the past, and they're like, that thing made me who I am today. Like I said, jobs. Somebody starts out a clerk in a ministry. 20 years later, they're a director or something. And so we have small funding sources like that and other sources that I think will come. But again, most of the momentum for my campaign is the goodwill.
So isn't that, don't you consider that a risk, your savings, channeling it into this election? What if you lose?
Then I still have some savings left, and I still have probably 15 years of work life left in me, and I'll go back to working.
I like the attitude. This is how it should be. I know that the spending limit, I think, is about 5 billion or so.
Yeah, I know it's in the realm of billions. All right, just a bonus before we wrap this up. We know that there isn't particularly a love lost between your dad and the ruling All Progressives Congress. Do you have his support for joining the APC?
I don't need his support. I'm almost 60. As they're looking at me now, I'm 59. So I think that at this age, if I tell people at my age, my friends that still have both parents alive are very few, very few. So I consider myself lucky at this age to have both my mother and my father alive. And I don't think that at this age I should be consulting them for everything my career moves. So what I've said before is that my father, I know, and my mother will vote for me. That's all I can ask of them. As my no, I don't even need to ask of them. Even if I didn't ask, they will vote for me. So that I can guarantee. So my journey in APC, like I said at the beginning, is a personal journey for me. You know, that is just the fact of it. But I know he will vote for me.
All right. A fine place to anchor with the assurance of your dad's vote. Almost, thank you very much. We wish we had more time to explore other aspects of the discussion with you. But thank you very much for coming on the program. We've been talking with Senator Iyabo Obasanjo Bello, who has declared for governorship for Ogun State in 2027. Thank you for coming on the program, ma'am.
Thank you for having me.
All the he for she's.
Welcome back. So it's Women's Month, a few days away to marking the International Women's Day. But it's also just a few months now, to the next general election with a lot of positioning and political alignments and realignment.